Greetings and welcome to Pinball Help. Although today it's once again video game help, and I'm going to go over make a short video on what conversions and modifications I've done to this classic Donkey Kong arcade game. So this is a friend of mine. He runs a bar, and this game has been in the bar. And as you can see, it's well loved and it's all beat up, and it's a bar game, and he loves playing it, but it's been dead and sitting in the bar for quite a while. He brought it to me, and we decided that we were going to refurbish it. I asked him, what do you want? He said, I just want it to work. I don't care about whether or not it's all original or whatever. I just want it to work. So my objective was to just try to repair every single original part and see how far we got, and I will go over what happened with that. So first off, I pulled the system board out. Let's go take a look at that. So here's the original board. There was nothing covering the EEPROMs, so I put little pieces of tape over them, and I started basically bulletproofing this. When I turned this game on, nothing worked in it at all. No sound, no monitor, no motherboard, nothing. And it looks like there's no diagnostic LEDs on the board, so when the monitor's out, you really can't tell that anything is working, right? So the first thing I did was I connected a flat screen to it and tried to see if we could get any video, and there was no video coming out. So not only was the screen not working and the sound was not working, the board was not booting up, right? So immediately I start just doing some basic shotgunning, ordered a rebuild kit for this, and as you can see, I replaced most of the major caps. I started getting down into these little ones here, and you can see I replaced one of them, but the traces are so delicate, and it's just so likely that you can blow a trace, that I thought, okay, before I continue any more work on this, I'm going to get online, and I'm going to ask, is it really necessary to replace all these tiny little ones? Are they really critical? If I replace the big ones, you think it might fix whatever this problem is? And that's what people said. Don't necessarily go through these if you don't have to. So I replaced all of them, and I put a flat screen in, and here's our flat screen. I got a special inverter board and an audio amp that I got from Mike's Arcade, which those people were super duper helpful. I cannot recommend them enough. They were really, really good. Mike's Arcade even referred me to another site to get the monitor, but they got me all the other pieces so that I could hook the flat screen into this and test it. So the plan was maybe swap it out for the flat screen and then repair the original Sanyo EZ20 and eventually have it all together. So we started working on it and still couldn't get this thing to boot up. I tested it, and I'm getting voltage at the CPU, but it's still not booting. So meanwhile, the client is like, hey, when can I come get this? When can I get this? And I'm feeling the same way, like I want this out of here, right? And I said, well, I've got another option. I also ordered the parts for 60 and 1 that we could throw in here, put Donkey Kong on it and get everything working. He goes, that would be great. I don't really care. Just get it working so I can put it back in place. So I'm like, okay. So this turned from, trying to do a complete original restoration fixing to turning it into an emulated system. So let me go over what I've done. Now, this game is basically a Donkey Kong, as you'll see. We'll flip the switch on. We'll come around here. And it's running Donkey Kong. And it looks great. It's a flat screen. I know that there's going to be a whole bunch of people who are going to bitch and moan, and sorry, deal with it. Don't be a baby. If Nintendo had access to flat screens back then, they would have been using them, and you'd have never even known the difference. So I don't want to hear it. Anyway, I do respect the whole notion of how important it is to try to keep these things original. In this case, this is a beat up game, and none of the components in it are going to get thrown away. I'm going to rebuild everything. But this guy wanted this game working, and one of the things I found is as soon as I repaired one thing, this is like the third game that I've gotten from this bar, and every game I've gotten, every single system was out. It's like what happened was something would break, but they wouldn't turn the game off, so they would just leave it on or leave the power to it. And so you don't just have one thing that's wrong, you have like malfunctions in every major system in the game. So I didn't want to have to get it working and then bring it back to him, and then it was going to die a week later. So I figured this is what we'll do. We'll get this thing working and emulated. So what we've done here is we have taken a Donkey Kong and we have completely turned it into a much more reliable modern game. It's running an emulator board, but it's the original cabinet. And you know, you wouldn't probably notice it, especially in a bar after you've had a few flaming Dr. Peppers. You're not going to notice that. Just say that. So let me show you what I did with this. And by the way, I'm going to continue to see what I can do with this board. But right now, it's not going to go in the machine. This machine is going back into the bar tomorrow. And then I will be able to mess with this and the Sanyo monitor at my leisure. So I've got a little note here about what's wrong with it because my memory is crap these days. And I will get back to that. So, and I don't blame him. I don't, you know, so that's very time consuming. And at some point, you know, these arcade enthusiasts that have 6 games and this is all they do, that's perfectly cool. But when you're an operator and you got games all over the place, you just can't afford to spend, you know, 14 hours trying to figure something out. So what we've done, pulled the original Nintendo power supply out, replaced it with the Suzo hap here. I really am a big fan of this this metal tape that's used to secure air conditioning brackets. And so I just strapped it to where the old power supply was. I've got an adapter here so it plugs right into the Nintendo wiring harness. And so let me show you the interesting bunch of things that I've got here that make this work. So we've got a 60-in-1 board connected to a special Mike's Arcade adapter that converts from the JAMA into it has the audio out that runs into the game. And then there's a little adapter here that connects from the Nintendo wiring harness into this breakout thing from the JAMA off the 60-in-1. So this combination of these 3 boards basically emulates the whole game. This allows me, and of course this is not even needed. I could run this out to the original monitor without some of this stuff. But with the flat screen, we hook the wiring harness into this thing. We hook this into that. It goes into the JAMA, and everything is working. And so it works pretty nice. I don't even need to wire in any special hardware buttons. I can basically completely program the 60-in-1 with just the small controls I've got there. Up, down, left, right, and player 1, button 1, and that's it. So programming this is very simple. There's a dip switch you flip to throw it into test mode. You turn it on, you're in test mode. Then you could turn games on and off, and then flip the dip switch, and it boots back into regular mode. And we got this set up to work as a regular coin-op thing, so it runs off of coins just like the original arcade. We don't have any need for the transformer anymore. I've got the monitor plugged into this switched outlet in the bottom, and then I put a nice new LED fluorescent bulb up in the top, and this game is good to go. Basically, every major component in here, except with the exception of the joystick and the switches on the control panel, are all brand new. So this should work and run a lot more reliably. Granted, it's not super original. Probably couldn't get in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the highest Donkey Kong game because it probably is not an original board set, but it's still a really nice. Now we have another game that's back restored that can last another couple of years without any trouble, as long as those 60-in-1s last. And they're relatively cheap, so if they go out, you just swap it out. So there you have it. It's funny because when I wanted to do this, when I wanted to do a little bit of research of how can I retrofit a Donkey Kong with a flat screen, all of the arcade communities, most of them will not help you. It's like you ask them how to make crystal meth in their daughter's dorm room. You know, it's like, no, I'm not telling you. That's kind of the response you get because they're so averse to anybody putting a flat screen in these things. But I'll tell you, it looks great. It's got more brightness and better contrast than a regular monitor. It doesn't bulge a little bit. I even put one of those scan line things in there to make it look more, like a monitor. But I didn't particularly like it. The client didn't like it, so I pulled it back out. But there it is. Works really nice. It's a very simple thing to do once you get in touch with the right people that tell you everything that you need. A few little adapter boards, and you're good to go. And then I just screwed them to the side of the cabinet and then, taped everything down, made it quite secure so nothing moves. And now we have a completely nice retrofitted Donkey Kong. When I put this cabinet on, 99.99% of the people that play this game will not know that it's not original. So anyway, I hope everybody, I don't know, I hope you get something out of this. And if you think it's sacrilegious what I did, I'm sorry. I really am, but this is what the client wants, and it'll be more reliable. And the alternative for some of these games when they can't be easily repaired is to end up in the trash heap. So I'm keeping a game still going. So I hope at least some people appreciate that. Until next time, thanks for watching.